Hello, and welcome back, or welcome to the Yogi Roth Show. How great is ball? Training camp tour. We are rolling around the Pac-12 footprint. Really excited to partner with SiriusXM College Sports on this tour. You can check it out anywhere where you listen to SiriusXM. And of course, if you're a podcaster, you can listen to this wherever you listen to your podcast. The Yogi Roth Show, How Great is Ball? Training camp tour. This is the USC edition, coming to you live from the campus of the Trojans. And I'll tell you what, I think the Trojans are going to do something special this year. I think if you're a national columnist or you're around the country and a football fan, you just go based on the record last year. 5-7, didn't go to a bowl game. But if you're around this team, you watch them practice, I think I speak for a lot of the reporters and the talented people covering this program. I think they're on the verge of doing something special here. This is a team that I think is going to compete at a really high level. Their schedule is brutal, but people have to play SC too, and they've got a lot of talent at a bunch of positions. And of course, new scheme in the air raid. We'll talk to head coach Clay Helton coming up about that, as well as we'll talk to wide receivers, senior Michael Pittman Jr., as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown, the second-year player out of Southern California. I think one of the most talented players in the country at that position. Then we'll flip it over and sit down with Rector, defensive lineman, who's seen a lot of different schemes and different styles since he's been here, and talk about the excitement of this program, because to me that is a theme of USC. And then when you watch them compete this fall, just like I've watched them practice, they compete with a different juice, a different type of excitement, a different type of energy. And there's a lot of reasons for that Clay Helton will describe. So I'm going to get out of the way, get to our first guest here on the How Great is Ball training camp tour from USC, head coach Clay Helton. All right, it's the How Great is Ball training camp tour, and you got to come to SC if you're going to go around the Pac-12 here with head coach Clay Helton. Coach, curious for you, training camp. You know, you grew up probably going to training camps. What's your first memory of running around one?
Well, you know, my dad's been doing it for 48 years, both college and pro, and I've had some great experiences being able to see him coach for the old Houston Oilers and watch Warren Boone and Alonzo Highsmith walk out, to be able to go to a Los Angeles Raiders, old Los Angeles Raiders training camp and watch Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen and Eric Dickerson walk out of the same locker room at one time. I've been a kid in a candy store when it comes to growing up a coach's son, and being able to see my dad in those arenas and with those experiences. It's some of the most cherished memories of my life.
Yeah, I love that. I bring that up because the excitement, I think, as a kid in a training camp is just awesome. You want gloves, you want a ball, a little Gatorade, right? All the little things. And being at practice, I sense a different excitement from the players. Curious if you do, and if you feel there's a reason for that.
Yeah, you know, when you come off a Rose Bowl year and a Pac-12 title year, and then you have a 5-7 year, and you really look at it and you go, you know what, guys, we lost 4 games by 7 points or less, and it was us. It wasn't anything else but us. And you can fix those mistakes and be right back where you're supposed to be. That gives your team excitement. And so we've been so self-driven to be able to set our own standard and live by that standard daily, and not concern us with any outside factors. You know, not concern ourselves with our opponents, but concern about our standard of play. So it's been neat to see. It's been all ball all the time out there for the past 3 weeks. We've had a blast. And we're in a position right now that if we live up to our standard, we could have a really special season.
Well, I gotta wonder, like, as a coach, you know, this place is amazing. We both know that, and success is just part of the deal. Mm-hmm. But to have the year you just referenced a year ago, do you feel like, kind of even for you, like you get to fight again, like you get to compete again in a different way than coming off a title year, which has kind of been the standard around here?
Yeah, you get a chip on your shoulder. I mean, I'm mad, the team's mad, the coaching staff's mad. It's been the 7 longest months of our life. I mean, we can't wait till August 31st and have the opportunity to step back out and say, hey, this is who we are. This is who we're going to be. And so the whole team has worked so hard in the off season to be able to make the corrections that we've had and push this team forward to put it back on top, that I think there's a bunch of anxiousness to get started. We wish it was tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you had 15 practices in the spring. You're right around 15 now already in training camp. How's the air raid going?
Oh, my gosh. Most fun I've ever had in 25 years. And you know, it was just the right timing for this system to come in after viewing what we had after last season, the recruits that were coming in, to see that skill set, both running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. We needed something that could attack every inch of grass, and because of our depth, be able to play really fast with tempo, because we can play it too deep, play 8 guys at wide receiver, and be able to roll and make it basketball on grass. And you better be ready for fast breaks, because that's the way Graham likes it.
I like that phrase. Mm-hmm. So much is made of that. Mm-hmm. I don't think enough is made of defensively. I had a chance to call your spring game. Cut out half the playbook. Mm-hmm. What's that been like with that group of athletes, and specifically down the middle? I think you're as good as it's been around here in a long time, D-tackle backers in the secondary.
Yeah, I thought Clancy, and I really credit Clancy, he spent a month and a half, really evaluating what college football is now, and, the time constraints that we're under, just 20 hours a week, and it is different than the NFL. And I appreciate him, because you're talking about a guy that's got 17 years of NFL experience and realizes, I got to allow our kids to play faster by simplifying the scheme, cutting a lot of the playbook out, and getting really good at something, and allow them to have a belief and a trust in it. And so he cut it all out. He hasn't stopped being aggressive. I think pressures are coming like every down. But what it's allowed our kids to do, it's taken all the confusion away from them, which takes all the hesitation, and has allowed us to play a whole lot faster on defense.
And then before I get you out of here, playing quarterback here, I've always felt when you sign at SC, you're a household name. When you start, you're a Heisman candidate. You started a freshman last year. I don't care who it is, but it's hard to do that. What have you noticed with JT with his second year? I know you're still competing for the job, but in this system and being able to just settle in and maybe hit a rough spot for the first time in his athletic career as a quarterback? Yeah,
I've always felt like you can learn just as much from some failures than you can from success. And, to be able to have those games under his belt and have great plays and have plays that you go, wow, I just learned what the speed of college football is, I think was a huge growth moment for him. I think it's something that humbled him. I think it's something that provided a lot of maturity, and it was an eye-opening experience about, hey, you know what, I need to elevate my game and understand that I'm always in competition. That's the reality of college football, NFL football, the real world. And just to see his seriousness in the offseason, how he's changed his body, how he's changed his mindset, the poise that he's executing with, not only in spring but in fall camp, has been really neat to see. You're seeing a guy that should just be starting his freshman year in college right now, and to see that maturity over a 1-year time, it has been awesome to see.
I love it. Well, I got to say this. It's been awesome to watch your team. Appreciate you letting me come out, because I think you guys, there's something not being talked about this year's USC Trojans.
Yeah, we think we've got a special team. We think we're a really well-kept secret right now, which has been different for this place by 10 years here. We're usually got the target on us, but it's pretty nice being the hunter right now rather than the hunted, and having that chip on our shoulder.
Well said. Coach, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
I really enjoy talking to Coach Helton. I've known him since he's been an assistant, and to me, he's a really special individual. He's always present in the interview. Obviously, you could hear that. But he's that way with anybody. And to me, he defines the word class. And I really think this team and this senior class is going to allow this team, and of course with the younger classes, to play and perform at a level that's really high. Speaking of performing at a really high level, Kona Red Coffee, it always does that as a proud partner of this podcast. I urge you to check it out at konared.com. And at Kona Red, they source some of the rarest, most sought-after coffee in the world. And it's from the volcanic mountain slopes of Hawaii. And most people listening to this podcast, probably in the Pac-12 footprint, have been to Hawaii, and you know how good things are. Pretty much everything that comes out of Hawaii is big time, as is their coffee. They got premium coffee beans, cold brewed coffee. They even have it in a can. That's my favorite. It's what I drink when I'm watching film. Sam Darnold, he's also a proud partner of Kona Red and one of their biggest and loudest ambassadors. He, even with the Jets, is always drinking Kona Red coffee. So check it out. And even have a juice if you're not a coffee person. It's called the Hawaiian Cascara juice. So check it out at konared.com, or you can go buy it in person. Vaughn's, Albertsons, Pavilions, Ralph's, Bristol Farms, Sprouts, and more. It's Kona Red Coffee. Go to konared.com. That was Clay Helton. I just dropped a nugget on Sam Darnold, and now we're going to talk to some of the talented receivers here at USC. From the head coach's office, we come downstairs. We're going to talk to some of the players on the USC Trojans. We're going to start off Michael Pittman Jr. This is hard to believe because I can remember the day you got here, and now we're entering the first time you'll say goodbye to training camp as a college player in a matter of days.
Yeah.
How is that for you?
It hasn't really sank in yet. I feel like it just happened so fast, and I haven't really thought about that yet. So it might hit me pretty soon, but it hasn't really hit me yet.
Yeah. Has it hit you yet, the type of team and the personality of this team and what you'll become after 15 spring practices and off season and now about 15 in camp?
Yeah, I think that I'm trying to think of the word for it. I think that the theme, I guess, of this team would probably be more work. So we're just working more so we're working more than we've ever worked before, and I feel like it's going to show up.
So confidence,
yeah,
is one of my favorite words. And psychology would say confidence comes from your self-talk. I'm curious, when you think about the teams that you've been on in the past, SC's not void of people who are confident, right? Kids come in, you came in, everybody wants to go play day one. Amon-Ra came in as a freshman, I'm going to start day one. You probably had the same exact thought. And then you get grounded and you're like, okay, I got to put in some sort of work and develop real confidence.
Yeah.
Where is your confidence right now? Where do you think this team's confidence is for real?
Yeah. Well, I think that my personal confidence, I feel like I have the most confidence maybe on the whole team because I've been here, I've done it, and I kind of know what's going to happen, and I've made some plays here and there, and I have no doubt in my mind what I am capable of. And I'd say for our team, I'd say that we are building confidence. I feel like the wideouts have the most confidence on our whole team because we do so. And I feel like everybody on our team is confident because we've put in work and we know what it takes to win, and we feel like we've been doing that.
It's interesting you talk about the wideouts. I've been around this program for a long time. I can remember Big Mike Williams, Kerry Colbert, your coach.
Yeah.
I can remember Steve Smith and Dwayne Jarrett coaching those guys. Patrick Turner kind of being the third guy in that realm and then becoming a dude. Yeah. Obviously Robert Woods, Marquise Lee. But I don't know if there's ever been, you could argue 4, 5, 6 guys that are like the first 4, 5, 6 guys here. Mm-hmm. What is it like to be part of that group and define what that group works like, competes like, trains like?
Yeah. Honestly, it's special because you don't have to be the guy that's making the play. And even though you may want to be that guy and like you always want to be the star, but sometimes you just don't perform as well as you like. But then on that side, it's, hey, Amon-Ra's catching an 80-yarder, TV's mossing somebody, Velus Jones is running by somebody, Devin Williams is making great catches. So it just lets us have more security, I guess, because we have so many guys that can go out there and be that guy. So we're never lacking, I guess.
I'd agree. And I would imagine defensive coordinators will be thinking, how do we stop this incredible group all season long? That being said, this is a new system.
Yeah.
It seems to be one of the most enjoyable systems of all time for a wide receiver. You can talk to anybody from Wes Welker to you, first year in it. What makes it so much fun?
What makes it so much fun is the fact that we throw the ball so much. I feel like it's a wideout's dream. We threw the ball for, they said something like 600 yards on our last scrimmage, and we didn't really even get that many plays in. So I felt like we played very well, and I feel like we will continue to play well.
I talked to Coach Helton earlier, but just being around the program, a word I'm kind of using is excitement. I feel there's a different excitement when I watch you practice.
Yeah.
Is that fair? And if so, where did that come from?
That came from Coach Harrell instilling that the most excited team always wins. So we just come out and try to be the most excited team, and we're going to win. So
I think, there's been this debate over the summer in college football, I don't know if you've seen it, but around like the word swag.
Yeah.
And I think, in SC, around here, right? Because a lot of the kids that come here play here in high school.
Yeah.
And my theory is that there's a lot of juice. If you play high school here versus in Montana, it's just a little bit different. Or I grew up in Pennsylvania, a little bit different. So there's a lot of like swag coming in. But the real swag, like the stuff that wins games, is not even close to what that is in the recruiting circles. For you guys, for somebody who's been around as long as you have, what is, if you had to define the swag of this team, what is it and how do you utilize that word?
I would say the swag is a winning mentality. Like people think swag is like putting on armbands or having a cool visor or gloves, but really swag is just showing up, winning, and looking good in whatever you're wearing because you're making that work. So that is what real swag is.
I love it. Well, before I let you go, I'd be remiss to ask, you've got a family of ballers, and there's a game that I know I circled on my calendar, Oregon versus SC. Unfortunately, your brother's been a little banged up. Not sure the status of his injury, but have you been able to mentor him just like you have been the receivers here at SC?
Oh, yeah. We call daily, and I've kind of been coaching him through his latest injury because I've been there multiple times. So I just told him that he just got to keep pushing and he could still do everything that he wants to do, and that this isn't going to hold him back.
I love that. I talked to another one of your receivers today, John Jackson III, and I'm doing a feature on him on the Pac-12 networks about him and his dad that'll air early September. What have you noticed about a guy who gray-shirted, but came to every practice for the most part, and now seems to be in like the legit rotation to play wide receiver for the USC Trojans?
Yeah, I feel like John's a guy that really loves ball, and I really like what I'm seeing from him. He's a smart guy, and he makes tough catches. So I feel like he's going to do good for us. I feel like he's going to do good for us this year.
I love it. And then finally for you, if you hoped your final season was defined by one word, what would it be?
One word. That's tough. Defined by one word, I would probably say unsatisfied, but I feel like that needs some context. So
go ahead.
I feel like I'm never satisfied because I'm always trying to be perfect and play the perfect game, 0 drops, run perfect routes every rep. And obviously that's pretty hard to do, if not impossible. And I'm just striving for that perfection, or so close that nobody can tell the difference between perfect and imperfect. So
I love it. Well said, man.
Thank you.
Ever doing podcasts before?
I've done a couple podcasts, but more like over the phone style podcasts.
All right, well, I appreciate you coming, man.
Thank you.
All right, that's Michael Pittman Jr. And come right back with another one of the receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, as the How Great Is Ball training camp tour rolls on. All right, welcome back to the How Great Is Ball training camp tour, joined by Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver of the USC Trojans. I feel with you, we have a picture we paint. We've seen the series on Showtime, right? Yeah. People know about your brothers that have played Notre Dame, Stanford. If you were to define yourself, not get defined by everybody else, how would you do it?
I think I'm a very focused guy when I have to be, when I need to be. I take things very serious that I know are very serious and important to me. So football, I take very serious. Academics, I think it was just growing up with the parents that I had. My mom being very strict on us when we were young. She harped on grades, having good grades, doing our homework, speaking different languages. I think it just helped us growing up just to focus on academics. So I think that's where I got my focus from. Also, my dad, he was very disciplined growing up. He disciplined us all the time, whether it was in the weight room, out on the football field. He was always tough on us and told us what we had to do. I think my mom kind of relaxed on us ever since we got to college or late in high school because, after a certain while, we kind of we took it upon ourselves to get good grades and do our homework and do all that type of stuff. So she kind of is not that hard on us anymore. But our dad is he's still going to be tough on us when he needs to be.
You do have a great focus about you. I think, when I got to meet you at the opening back in the day in high school to now, like you had this competitive focus that was just different than a lot of guys that I've seen. I'm curious for now, is your parents have passed you on to college, right? Now you're your own man and doing your own thing. What is, when you're competing, what's your self-talk like? What's going on between your ears?
I think the biggest thing is just not letting. I mean, at the end of the day, I know my training and I know what I've done to get here, and at the end of the day, that's what's going to get me further. So I don't let a bad play get in my head, or if I drop a ball, I just move on to the next play. I think trying to move on to the next play as quick as I can is the best way for me to overcome maybe a drop ball, like I said, or if I have a bad route or anything like that. So I think just, so what? I mean, Coach Casey talks about all the time. His saying is, so what, now what? I mean, you have a bad play, so what, now what? You can move on to the next play. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. I've just been always competitive growing up, too. I hate losing, so anyone that's in my way, I'm trying to destroy.
That being said, it reminds me of a quote that I love, which is trying to prove others right or trying to prove myself. Trying to prove others wrong and trying to prove myself right. Where do you lie on that? Like, are you motivated by people saying you can't, you aren't, you're not big enough, you're not da-da-da, or are you like, no, I've defined who I want to be and prove myself right?
I think it's definitely both. Other people can definitely motivate me. People that may doubt me or think I can't do something, that definitely motivates me. And then just motivating myself. I mean, having goals that I have set for this season and just the big picture goals, that motivates me also. Yeah.
This offense, it would motivate me to play in it. I wish I could play in it right now. I mean, I'd be your ninth receiver because maybe you guys are like 10 deep. I'd be 11 or 12, but I feel like everybody touches it.
Yeah.
When you heard about this system and now have been in it, 15 spring practices or about 15 practices in a training camp, what did you think and where are we today?
I think when Graham first talked to us as an offense, we loved what he was talking about, and we got out there, and there was about 3 plays the first day of install, and we were kind of all confused about why there's only 3 plays. And we ran those same plays over and over and over. And the next day we had another 3 plays. We ran those plays over and over and over. And then the third day we had 4 more plays, and then that was the whole install, something like that. And then when it got to the 4th day, we repeated the first day again. So I think as receivers, being in T's offense with as many plays as we had last year, we weren't really used to it. Because, when I first got here as a freshman, there was about like 25 plays for day 1, and that was overwhelming for me. But we just had to stick with it and learn the ins and outs of each play. And I think now we understand what Coach Harrell's trying to do. He's trying to simplify the offense for us, let us play fast, think less, and that's just the fastest way to get it going.
How much fun is that?
That's a lot of fun for us. Like you said, everyone sees the ball. Maybe one play, a few plays go by, you don't see the ball, you want the ball, and then that next play, it hits you for a big one. So, it's hard to guard all 4 receivers at once, and someone's got to be open one play.
You said earlier you hate losing.
Yes, sir.
You lost more than you won a year ago. Did that fuel you? Does it continue to fuel you? And what do you think about this upcoming season?
I think it fuels all of us as a team. I don't think anyone on the team has had a losing season like that in a while here at USC. So I think as a whole team, even the coaches, everyone is fired up for this season. We can't wait to get it started. And we're ready for game 1.
Yeah, me too. I talked to Coach Helton earlier. It's like we're gonna surprise some people, and I couldn't help but agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. That steely focus. Okay, yes, we're going to let you get out of here. We're going to bring back one of your defensive linemen, Christian Rector, after you. That was Amon-Ra St. Brown. I wonder how many people who are listening to this have a degree in non-government social change?
Yeah, non-government organizations and social change. It's kind of long, kind of confusing. I kind of switched into it last year, so I kind of finished my degree kind of quickly and changed trajectory towards the end of my career, but I think it was a great fit for me in the end, and I'm really proud of it.
As you should. That's Christian Rector, defensive lineman. You kind of a connoisseur of defensive positions on the defensive front, man. Your career, I can remember when you signed, and now here we are. Your final training camp is on the verge of ending. Do you think about your journey ever? Like, I know you're kind of day-to-day, you have a ton happening, but have you had a minute to do that?
Yeah, I think especially in my senior year, I've kind of come to peace with everything that's happened in my journey, and I just feel super blessed to be where I'm at right now, and super humble. Coming in that class and all the superpowers, and that it was a stacked class. I think we ranked number 1 overall in the nation. Maybe might have been behind Alabama that year, and I was kind of towards the bottom of that recruiting wise. But I knew if I worked hard and kept at it, I could end up towards, or just being very, or just doing well for myself, I'd say. USC people are kind of timid to go to big name schools, I'd say, in recruiting. And kind of, I had coaches in high school kind of tell me that too, kind of be careful because, a lot of the 5-stars are going to get a lot of the shine and early on. But, I kind of didn't have a problem with I didn't really have a problem with redshirting, and I kind of enjoyed trusting the process and growing throughout.
What's one of the, if you were going to talk to like a freshman, right, which I know you do, I've been around this team a bunch, what's one of the top 2 things that you would tell a first-year player who is coming in with big expectations about themselves and their career, in terms of just pumping the brakes a little bit and letting your career take its course? Yeah,
I would tell them that football is a selfish sport. At the end of the day, you're going to get opportunities when they do come across, and you have to make the most of them. That's something that I think I did in my career, in not playing right away, and I think by making the most of your opportunities when they do come across. Guys, when they go down, it happens in football. It's natural, and you're going to be asked to step up and take in a bigger role than maybe what you've been doing or maybe what you've been expected to do. And making the most of your opportunity, I think, is very important.
Okay, so talking about opportunities, you're going to have one here in a matter of less than 2 weeks now is the first game. Fresno State, you got a new stadium or a revamped stadium in the Coliseum. How excited are you about this defense, who's taken out about half of the playbook and revamped some things schematically, being one of the elders of a defense? It's going to have some young spots at certain places.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, like you said. I'm super excited to go out there. I think we'll be playing super fast now that, like you said, that the defense is kind of shortened in the playbook. And we have a lot of guys with experience up front, especially inside with Marlon and Jay, and a lot of experience on the outside too, and we're deeper. So I think we have strength in numbers as well. And we have a lot of young guys that are going to be asked to step up, like Drake Jackson, who I've been working with and been priming. Kind of one of my side projects, along with Coach Chad.
Yeah, speaking of Coach Chad, right?
I can't. I stopped trying a while ago. I just say Coach Chad.
Okay, so Coach Chad.
Coach Chad.
If anybody follows college football, anybody that comes out of that Utah pipeline, which he's come from on the defensive line, I mean, they just have done things a little differently. When you look at some of the coaches, they've all had success. What have you taken from him in a short period of time from last spring to now leading up to game 1 that should enhance or take your game to a different place?
Yeah, it's just little niches in my technique, I think, that he's keyed on. He sees what I do well in my attack and getting off blocks, and he's kind of taken it to another level. He's like, you can do that faster. You're striking well, but you're kind of holding on to blocks for too long. And so that's one of the things that he's kind of talked to me about, and I think I've gotten a lot better at, is just getting off blocks and playing the run faster and more physical too. That's a lot of things that we've seen from Utah is a physical front on defense. And they're talked about highly in the Pac-12 as being one of the best, but I think we have a chance to be just as good, if not better, if we work towards it, and I think we can be as good as we want to be.
All right, so before we let you go, speaking of being good, you only get to run out of the collie X amount of more times. You probably know the exact numbers. It's 7 or
6.
Whatever. 6
home games.
Okay, even worse, right? Are you taking that into consideration with each home game, specifically the first one that's coming up, or is that too up in the clouds? Hey, take advantage of every opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking in every practice as we go along. I got to keep my feet underneath me. and just be very present. Even in meetings, just be present in everything that's going on and soaking it all in. I think like each game I'm going to take in, as that day comes and give it my best and get 1% better each day as it comes. And then every game, ball out.
I love it. All right. Well, you balled out on the interview, man. Appreciate taking the time. That's Christian Rector. I'm Yogi Roth. We'll be back to shut it down here on the How Great Is Ball Training Camp Tour. What a fun day with the Trojans. You got to hear from Clay Helton, Michael Pittman Jr., Amon-Ra Brown as they detailed not only their paths, but what they anticipate from the air raid offense, as well as Christian Rector, somebody who's seen a ton of football and a bunch of changes since he's been here at USC. And also what you didn't see, but you will be able to on the Pac-12 networks, is a feature that I'm going to do within the series called Our Stories, where we go and try to tell some of the best stories of student athletes in the Pac-12 footprint and in Pac-12 sports. And for me, as a football guy, I went out and had a chance today to tell the story of John Jackson Jr. and his son, JJ III. John Jackson III, he's a freshman wide receiver at USC. If you do not know about him, you heard a little bit from Michael Pittman Jr. about him, but I think he's going to be squarely in the mix. He's going to be making plays all season long. But much more importantly, his father, who was the color analyst for the USC Trojans, as well as an All-American here, football player, baseball player, and an academic All-American, he suffered from a stroke this past December. And he's been competing to get right to make sure he can get back to the Coliseum and watch his son run out of the tunnel just like he did. And it's an inspirational story. John Jr., what he's done in his recovery has been simply magnificent, and I cannot wait to share that with all of you. So check it out on the Pac-12 networks. I think that'll come out in early September. Also, if you need a fix on Pac-12 football, check out the Pac-12 networks every Tuesday night, Inside Pac-12 Football with Mike Yam and myself, and subscribe to the How Great Is Ball newsletter. You can get that at yogiroth.com every Friday. Right before the weekend, I'm going to kick out a couple nuggets, some stories, some cool videos, some podcasts, some inspirational elements that I think you'll enjoy as you get primed for your weekend's games. All right, that's it from USC. I only got a couple more stops. If you've missed any training camp tours, we'll eventually have, I think, all 12. Just go to yogiroth.com/podcasts or go to wherever you listen to podcasts and check them out. And of course, with my partner at SiriusXM College Sports, you can check it out on any of their platforms as well. All right, season right around the corner.